What for me, the part that upset me a lot was loved ones, a lot of loved ones, and a lot of people were begging me not to take my life over this.
We were lied to. We were told false answers and a story that was, far from the truth. And we've got the person on here today, and we got Albert on here today as well. So, Albert and Liam, guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Sure, thanks for having me here.
Of course. So, Carte Blanche recently did a segment on bodybuilding, the negative effects of bodybuilding. Essentially, there was 0 positives. There was nothing that was beneficial to the industry at all. And there were stories that were, completely false. And we're going to talk about those false stories right now. So, Liam was anonymous on Carte Blanche, but obviously right now he isn't. He's coming out, and Albert's busy making a protein shake. This podcast is sponsored by Nutricon, so you can use the code VeganJC. Don't use Albert's code.
AZA.
Use mine. You can get
Mine's more discount.
You can get 20% off with mine. So you were anonymous, Liam, but
Yeah.
So how did they contacted you, and then you said, "Okay, cool. Let me talk about the PED usage."
Yeah, so I was getting ready for a show, and then I decided to do like quite a hectic cycle, and then one of my coach's friends heard about it, and then decided, okay, I need to do a case study or an investigation on PED use, and then I said I'm happy to speak about it on like a personal level, from someone who is a novice, from the standpoint of someone who is inexperienced, unqualified. And I was like, I'm happy to share my personal experience with PEDs. And then that's how I got kind of roped into it. Now, like as a pitch, that seemed kind of cool to me because I like documentary filmmaking and I was happy to talk about what I'm doing. However, I wasn't happy to talk about any bodybuilding federations or the sport or the industry at all.
And I think also people can see, obviously, it wasn't about trying to build up a name, or it wasn't about trying to,
Grab fame.
Yeah, there was no fame that you wanted and you were seeking from it because obviously you were anonymous.
Yeah, this did not benefit me at all. I didn't get paid. Like I thought I'm actually helping somebody.
If it wasn't for your ears, you would have probably been anonymous.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like I'm the only guy in this like scene who has like.
But let's get down to the juicy details. What was this hectic cycle you were running?
So I just I actually disclosed to the Carte Blanche people I've only done 3 cycles ever in my whole life. So like I probably am not the person you should be speaking to about this.
No, we know.
Yeah, but so I decided to like try taking the Tren Ace and the Tren E at the same time. But like obviously
So you weren't running a hybrid chin. Like, so I don't know where that came from. Actually.
No, it was 2 different,
Oh,
like
but
100 milligram.
When you talk, just make sure that you're always facing the mic.
Okay.
So if you turn to Liam, just move the mic with you.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, so I was taking the Tren Ace and the Tren E at the same time. And like to my understanding, the long ester keeps the like blood level stable, because when I pin with the short ester alone, the first time I tried it, it gave me acne. So to my understanding, that prevented the acne. I don't even honestly know what it does to the blood levels. And I told them, I disclosed this. I'm like, I don't know what it does to the blood levels. As far as I know, like I can avoid the acne like that.
So you were pinning Tren A, Tren E separate, well, the separate compounds together.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a Tren blend or mix.
No, it was 2 separate vials. Yeah.
And in combination with that, what were you running?
And test enanthate.
Test enanthate.
At
Prepping
3M.
on test enanthate.
Hey?
Prepping on test enanthate.
Yeah.
So how many weeks out was this?
When I started everything.
Yes. So at the time of the show.
At the time when you were mixing all of these compounds together.
Yes.
Like
So how far were you out from show day?
11 weeks-ish.
Okay. Were you planning on changing your compounds closer to the show?
We were planning on taking out the Tren enanthate towards like the time of drying out, and then taking out the long ester like a few weeks before show.
The
and then,
enanthate switching to prop.
yeah, and then taking the Tren E out and just running Tren Ace. That's what we were going to do closer to show.
And then Mashron and orals and
Nothing of that.
Nothing.
Like my
Okay.
metabolism's super fast. So like I've never really needed to like even use a fat burner or anything.
Okay, well, let's move on and focus on how Carte Blanche
Yeah.
changed your story, because I think you did mention compounds that you were taking on the show. Obviously, they painted and more just wanted to paint the light of how it's a illegal industry. Dealing juice and taking steroids is illegal. So they also said things like they said you said this, that you don't have a life, you don't have a girlfriend, that you live in a shoebox. They said
you
that
quit your job.
you quit
to
your
do
job.
bodybuilding.
Yeah, I still have a job. You can't quit your job to do something that no one's going to pay you for. So like
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. So, no, I didn't quit my job. So I explained to these guys, and I think this is what made like me seem attractive to them, was the fact that I have problems at the moment. I've been depressed since like November last year, but like I'm not complaining about it, and I'm not making it anyone's problem. I'm like working on my depression. I'm sitting in my little shoebox at home so I can learn how to do it by myself. I don't have a girlfriend because I don't want to emotionally traumatize someone with all my crap. And they took these personal issues and kind of made it like, okay, he's depressed because of PEDs. And
They
he's,
never even said you're depressed. So they made it look like you don't have a girlfriend because you don't have time for a girlfriend, because you're
Yeah.
training 3 hours a day. You prepping for the show. You quit your job. You basically, bro, you put everything into this prep to become a pro.
no, it's the way it actually is like I'm in recovery.
Yes.
I have addiction issues. So I've put my life currently for the last 8 months into my recovery. And I've focused on the prep, and I've been studying a little bit with Trifocus.
And
So that's what
has-
my focus has been on.
Has bodybuilding and training helped the depression and helped the addiction and helped those aspects, those aspects that you were struggling with, that they made it look like bodybuilding caused those things, whereas, it could have been an outlet for you to maybe, feel less of those feelings?
Yeah, I think bodybuilding as a sport is like, it's my favorite thing to do at the moment. And it's like when you're in recovery, there's nothing fun to do. And like, this is like, it feels like it's the most fun thing I have to do. And it is keeping me going.
So taking
And it is positive.
taking the PEDs out of it,
Yeah.
like the training and the regimen and the structure, that does help.
routine.
The routine does help people with addiction.
Yeah, I need it. I need the routine. Like I can't function without it.
And I think it's unfair of them to take someone who has, depression and has a battling struggle with addiction,
Yeah.
and to paint them as painted in a negative light, and say that it's bodybuilding and it's bodybuilding industry and it's competing, and those, yes, maybe PEDs are not great for anyone's health.
Yeah.
However, the competing and everything was helping you. It was helping you to be, a little bit less depressed, because, the endorphins that you get from training, the structure of knowing that this meal is this, when you have this meal, it's this time, when you need to go to gym, you go to gym. And, that does help, having that structure in your life, and, and keep your mind off that depression.
And prepping, I don't know, it's like super rewarding seeing your body change every day. Like it is super rewarding. Like that keeps me going. Recovery doesn't feel like a rewarding thing. Bodybuilding feels like a rewarding thing. So.
But they actually, you saying, bodybuilding feels rewarding.
Yeah.
There was another thing that they said, you said, I don't know, because it was obviously a muzzler and your voice did sound different.
Okay.
It was that it's more of an addiction than it is discipline.
But that's personal because of my addiction issues,
Yes.
They took everything he said and just twisted it around. So we get a negative image. So they never said that he's depressed. They said bodybuilding, that's his addiction. And he's basically addicted to PEDs. And he gave everything up to become this pro. We're all watching this. We know it's not possible. Not at all. You can't quit your job to pursue your dream of becoming a pro. You're not going to get there unless you have financial backing from sponsors. And also not at an amateur level. You maybe quit your job if you're a competitive pro. So, which isn't right, because we never knew that he's got depression and addiction issues. They knew that. And yet they just twisted this whole story to make or put him in a bad light. And obviously, with them being producers of Carte Blanche and his holes in his ear, they had to maybe piece it together that someone would figure out who he is.
And it's unfortunate because with this story, we were able to uncover the truth. How many of the other stories that they have published aren't true as well? And
Yeah, that's terrible.
there's no factual basis to this story. We found out the answers within a matter like of hours after watching it.
Yeah.
You know, if we just had the access to other stories, what other, you know,
How many people are in the same boat, yeah, who actually can't have their say afterwards, and they just twisted the whole story to make it look bad? Yeah, the general public's watching the story, and we're like, yeah, this is terrible, it's bad, and it's the half truth.
Yeah.
It's a whole story twisted.
Liam, what do you think is the biggest thing that they twisted of what you did on the day that they filmed you?
One of the things that upset me was some of the quotes. Like there's a quote at the end where it's like, "This is my magnificent obsession." And that's a C.T. Fletcher quote from his documentary. And like to make it seem like that's my quote, that upset me a lot. Then there was another quote where I said, "You can't have balance to become incredible." And that was a quote from Sadiq's YouTube series where he did a Road to Olympia series. It's episode 4 from his like 2017 Olympia prep.
Did
And I
you
took
did
that
you
quote.
say that at all?
No, I mean, I said this is a quote from my favorite bodybuilder or like one of my favorite athletes. And I said, C.T.
Cut
Fletcher.
the part out where you say,
Yeah.
listen, this is a quote from this and this, and then
This guy holds bench press world records, and they just made it seem like that's what I said. And it's like, who am I to give people inspirational quotes at this
I mean,
point in my life?
after the show aired and I was watching this shit on TV, I was super upset, bro. I fucking went out on Instagram and I smashed you.
Yeah.
And then I messaged you. I was like, how can you even say shit like this? And then I never knew about your depression and all of that. And then we started speaking. So I was like, listen, send me your number. Let me phone you.
Yeah.
And then we chatted and he gave me the whole story. And I was like, yo, this is twisted, bro.
Yeah.
It's absolutely terrible. And now knowing about your depression and your addiction issues, bro, that could have contributed to the end of you, bro. And I know you spoke to me and you were super depressed and you was puking from stress.
Yeah. I threw up a few times, bro. Because of
And
the
they-
DMs, like, fuck, dude, my phone, sorry, my language. My phone was buzzing and buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. But like for 2 days, dude, like I freaked out.
And I
This
kept
guy helped
telling me, I kept saying, listen, just calm down. Everything will be okay. We're gonna sort it out. And I was waiting for other people. I spoke to you as well. I was like, listen, we need a plan to get his story out there because what they've done isn't right.
Yeah.
And that's not right towards the fitness industry and the bodybuilding and towards him
Yeah.
as an individual. So they don't understand what the implications are of a story that's been aired and it's false information.
Especially when you're using a story of someone who, you know, has suffered and is suffering, and you almost air a story that could cause that person so much more suffering and so much more pain.
Yeah.
And to a fragile industry like the fitness industry itself. I mean, it's a struggling industry, especially after lockdown or during lockdown, with all the shows being cancelled. I mean, this is our lives, bro.
Yeah.
For 2 years, I couldn't compete. I mean, it's got strain on everyone. Yeah, I've got my Oma messaging me, listen, have you seen what's on Carte Blanche? So the general public's got this false picture painted to them by a show and they never use the proper facts.
It's a narrative, yeah. It's a complete narrative. Like I felt like an actor, bro. On the day, they were like, get back into bed, lie down, okay, look more tired, wipe your eyes, wake up, look at the phone, walk past the mirror. I was like, this is not, you're not documenting anything. Like I have markers, I'm an actor here.
And there was a part where you were talking about your ADHD.
Yeah.
And they were like, they obviously like sped up the footage of you making a protein shaker. They put in audio of you breathing heavily. And it was all just to paint this picture of someone who is like, you know, either rushing or something from these PEDs and these steroids that he's taking. Whereas it was just like a narrative that they were painting, which was completely false.
Like you're getting a rush from PEDs, from anabolic steroids. After your injection, you're like rushing, bro.
Yeah, they're dramatic, eh? Like I was mic'd up the whole day. So I mean, like I was training, I was breathing heavily while I was training. They were asking me questions while I was resting in between sets. They were talking to me like while I was driving. I could have gone into the bathroom, taken a dump. They could have taken the audio of me taking a dump, put it in the background and been like, this is what he thinks of the fitness industry. Like, it's that easy. Like when you're mic'd up the whole day and there's also, I was chatting to the camera guy and he gyms. So there was guy talk going on and they took some of the guy talk and they used that to like, you know, I spoke to him about PEDs and like personal stuff about PEDs and they took the guy talk and they put it in there like it was informative and yeah.
So how was it, you know, obviously they recorded everything, but how was it, you know, like just driving with the camera crew? Did they say anything? Did they discuss anything with you? Or was it just, you know, they said, okay, well, pretend we're not here?
It was more just like I was mic'd up the whole time. And like, I think in my understanding, the camera audio and the mic audio is synced up. So when they're rolling, the audio is rolling, but the audio is rolling the whole time into a sound device, not into the camera.
Please try again in a moment.
That
Yeah.
was Siri. So there was never a time where like the cameraman or someone just spoke to you and like asked, like,
Lots of times. Like most of the day, there was just general chatter and guy talk and like me just chatting about all my crap. And they used some of that general chatter to like put information
They're
forward
basically
about.
baiting you, bro.
Yeah, but they did it so cleverly. Like they're like, okay, there's a gym guy, camera dude. He's going to do some guy talk with him. He's going to ask him about gear. And you know, when you're doing guy talk, like we're honest about most things. So they took advantage of that. Yeah. It wasn't quite seamless though, because like you can hear, I haven't finished a full sentence. It's good, but it's not seamless. Like they throw random words in everywhere. Like the word pathological gets thrown in there. And that's like quite a word to just chuck in the middle of a interview. So people are going to think, okay, now bodybuilders have this pathological need to like get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's a disorder.
No, that's because of I'm addicted to like substance. So I kind of cross addicted to bodybuilding. It's not healthy. I didn't.
You're not
like,
addicted to the substance itself. You're addicted to the results of the lifestyle.
but
Yeah.
if you want to be successful in bodybuilding, you have to be addicted to the process. But being addicted doesn't mean that you will, you know, do the same things that a drug addict will do to get drugs.
No.
Like you, maybe a drug addict will steal something or steal
Not
money
even,
from
not
family.
even.
You know, not all drug addicts, of course. Obviously, not all drug addicts. I'm talking about the extreme because they were painting the picture of a bodybuilding extremist. So a drug addict extremist might steal from family to get enough money for drugs, whereas a bodybuilding extremist, even the most extreme person, is probably never going to steal money to afford steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I think the structure of bodybuilding and the discipline takes the element of being pathological out of it. Like that takes the addictive element away and it gives you discipline. It's a different kind of like addiction.
Yes.
They made it seem like there's absolutely, no balance whatsoever in your life. So you've basically put everything aside and now it's just bodybuilding. So it's a very unbalanced, unhealthy lifestyle to maintain where I'm all for balance. So
Yeah.
people who know me know, listen, okay, Albert's serious about gym, but he's serious about his friends and family and having a good time every now and then.
Yeah.
So you should have balance. You can't put everything aside because you're not going to get anywhere, bro.
Yeah.
Not in this country, mate, bro.
Not
the odds
any
of
country.
winning the lotto is better than becoming a top 10 Olympian athlete.
Yeah.
I see like talk about balance. Like I don't have balance at the moment because I'm focusing hard on fixing my life. But I spoke to them about bodybuilders have wives, girlfriends, families, friends. You drive cars and shoot guns. Like everyone does things outside of bodybuilding. Like it's not like we're not all this kind of person. And to use me to paint like a blanket statement over the whole industry like that is
They
crazy.
could have said this is your story as an individual. This is, everyone can't relate to the story, but this is your story.
As a novice as well, because I
Yes.
did disclose that so many times. Like,
I
I'm a
think-
novice.
I think also they deliberately never had any paperwork because they knew how they were going to construe a negative narrative, and they didn't want you to have any backing to come back to and be like, "Whoa, this is
It's
completely
twisted, yeah.
taken out of context."
Yeah, no, she did. I spoke to her on WhatsApp, and she did explain to me. She's like,
Who's she?
Taryn is her name. Taryn.
Okay.
Yeah, and I spoke to her on WhatsApp, and she said to me, "I'm sorry about what happened on social media. Unfortunately, because we have this policy of whatever we say off, they have some policy that like allows them to get away with so much, and it's that whatever is said on or off camera can be used, like in their documentation." And yeah.
Well, fortunately, they don't have control of this podcast, bro.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
luckily,
Yeah, so we can say, everything that.
I used to love Carte Blanche and all
Yeah.
the stories on it because you actually think, listen,
I did too.
they're here for the good. So they're here to expose bad things happening, like rhino poaching and flip looting, whatever. And I always used to watch it and be like, okay, yes, I didn't even know all of this stuff. Now I'm thinking, what they aired, is it actually true?
Yeah.
So how much information did they get and just twist it around to make someone look bad or put someone or a company or individual or anyone in a bad light?
What was truthful in that documentary? How much, what percentage? What was factual?
I do love the sport. Obviously, it's like my favorite sport. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, you shouldn't lose your passion because of this. And
What-
you were struggling, so you can't allow this to get you down because now you're airing your story.
Yeah.
So people can see, listen, Liam is actually a good guy.
He's not the guy that Carte Blanche
Made
put
him out to be. Yeah.
I tried to help a young producer, man. Like that's like coming from a place of understanding. I tried to help a young producer. It wasn't going to benefit me. I knew it was going to put me in danger.
So what actual true things were put out there?
Oh, what was true? Okay, let me try to think. I said to one of the crew members off camera, I was like, "Yo, this is kind of like selling your soul to the devil for 12 weeks." And like that was a
Yeah, I
stupid.
remember that.
That was a stupid comment. Like to anyone who's religious, I'm sorry, that was a stupid comment. But like,
Was that in? I can't remember
no,
hearing that.
Yeah, it
I think it was. And like when I heard that, I was like, whoa, like I didn't say that to anyone. And then I realized, oh man, I said it to the camera guy. And I was referring to like the 12 weeks of side effects and the 12 weeks of like being able to lift heavy weights with eating so little food. And yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the only things I think.
Yo,
that
it was so dramatic watching it, selling your soul to the devil.
And I was
you
like,
wanna do bodybuilding.
why did they take that comment and like put it in there? Like,
Because they know it's going to cause a stir.
it was a dumb thing
The
to
general
say. Man.
public, the older generation, people who aren't really clued up about PEDs or acceptable to the lifestyle, look at this and be like, yo, this is such a dysfunctional thing to do. It's unhealthy. No one should do it. And people would actually stop their kids from going to gym and actually getting into the fitness industry.
Yeah.
They won't let them do shows, and they knew it's gonna cause a hype. That's why they did it.
Do you think, what do you think, other than just getting more views, what's the gain for them doing this other than just the eyeballs?
It could be of like, I don't know. It could have been just coming from a place of not understanding because they didn't get enough of the correct information from the right people. I said to them, speak to a retired bodybuilder who has a lot of achievements and is on TRT, so it's at least legal what you're doing.
So-
and they knew I was easier to speak to, I think.
So I know for a fact, and I've seen screenshots where Derek Watts was emailed and been sent messages before the show even aired to make him aware, listen, speak to someone who's actually educated. There was no reply to the messages. There was no response from Carte Blanche.
Yeah.
So they knew that certain individuals who are very high up in the fitness industry aren't happy about the story being aired because of the twisted facts. And they tried to get in contact with Carte Blanche and they weren't interested at all.
And Liam wasn't the only person approached. There were other people approached too.
Yes, 100%.
You just, for their benefit and unfortunately for your, setback, is they declined the offer.
Yeah. No, I was happy to help, but like with the way it was pitched to be, I was happy to help because I thought this is only going to make me look. I knew people would identify me because I have a lot of like famous influencers on Instagram, and there are people that do support me. So I knew I was going to get identified. But I was like, okay, I'm cool with that as long as what was pitched to me is delivered. Like, this is a guy who disclosed that I'm depressed and people who are depressed shouldn't take PEDs. It does make it a little bit more unmanageable. And I said, I'm willing to live with that. They took that out of context and made it seem like I'm willing to live with the consequences of being a bodybuilder and not having a life and all this
So
crap.
what you actually did is you never spoke negatively about the industry as such.
Not one word.
And they turned everything around and put you in a bad light where, like us, where you were comfortable with the story airing, and in the hopes of them giving the actual story.
Yeah.
And then if it came out that it was you, you'd have grabbed some fame or followers because, okay, Liam, I'm all for being honest and truthful about PEDs and
Me too, yeah.
the bodybuilding lifestyle. Like, I've got Tren tattooed on my hand. So
What are your dogs' names?
Tren and Decker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm all for PEDs, and you need it for bodybuilding.
And also, what doesn't make sense is you talking about how bodybuilding is your life, how you've given up so many things, and then they painted a picture where it was like you were suffering for doing it. So why would you be doing it, and why would you be giving up all these things for something that you love? You know, you can't love something that tortures you.
Yeah, I remember Derek said, like, Andre, this doesn't sound like fun. And the whole part where I spoke about how much fun I was having on prep was completely cut out. Like, I was like, this is so much fun. And it's the only fun thing I've had to do in the last year is bulk up and cut down and get ready for a show. And I even told him, like, I don't even care what show it is. All the things got moved. So I closed my eyes and, like, chucked a dart and picked a random show. Wasn't even, and they made it seem like I've been getting ready my whole life for this.
Bro, they made it seem like you're prepping for Olympia.
Yeah, I was like, I picked a random show. I messaged one of the officials and I was like, okay, what shows are happening? Which one should I do? And then she just like, try this one. And I was like, cool. And it was Gauteng's or whatever. And I said, don't mention what show I'm doing. And they mentioned it. That was said off camera. And I said, don't mention
They
the
said
IFBB.
something about the IFBB and the federations. I can't recall what.
And they promised me like they're not going to mention IFBB, the WBFF, the NPC. Like they said they're not going to talk about any federations. And I said I wasn't going to. And then when I heard that thing, I'm getting ready for SA Champs or something, I was like, fuck, man, that was said off camera. Yeah.
So going into this and being anonymous, did they say they want you to be anonymous, or did you ask to be?
Okay, so because I was kind of happy to talk about my PED use, my personal issues, and like why I think it's not a good idea to use them, but I'm doing it anyway kind of thing. That was the pitch. And I was happy to actually show my face. But because I'm doing something illegal on camera, they told me I must remain anonymous. And I think they made me anonymous to kind of protect themselves.
But also there was a training scene where you can literally see your nose, your mouth, your ears, and like half an eyebrow.
Yeah,
So I mean,
my whole
once
face.
I knew who you were watching it, I was like, well, I know exactly who that is. It's
Yeah,
not anonymous.
You can look like through like 3 or 4 Instagram videos, and you can see me in the same gym with the same cap on the same machine, doing the same like exercise.
Who's your coach, by the way?
It's a friend of mine.
Okay.
I don't think we should say.
It doesn't matter. Like it's
No,
just
I don't think we should say, because in the
They made
documentary,
the coach look
Yeah.
terrible, bro.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think
Your
we should
coach
just
is
mention.
a knob, which I'm not saying he is.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
That's what they
it
They
seem
made
made
it
him
was.
seem like it, but he is a friend of mine. I do trust him, and yeah, I mean that's
Listen,
My
no
coach,
two
that's my
people prepping for a show do the same things.
Yeah.
Every single year I do something new. At times I'm like, okay, fuck, what are you actually doing? It doesn't even make sense to me.
Yeah.
So there's no right or wrong way to do anything.
my carbs change a lot, bro. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah.
So I saw you actually physically wrote down your diet, and that's a bit extreme. I don't even do that.
Yeah, I just like to change it. Like every week, it changes a little bit. But I like to have
Slightly,
things. I like to write things down, man. I don't know. I like to write down how many sets and like how many like.
So was that like it had also? I think it had your training plan.
Yeah, yeah.
It had your diet. Is that legit what you have at home?
Yeah, that's
Because-
my training plan. Like that's legit.
Okay.
It's like very basic, man, but it works.
And what do you, how do you? Why do you write it down? Do you feel like it helps you?
I don't know. Just it's nice to see it there, so I know what I have to do the next day. Like I've
Okay.
got 6 exercises. I've got 5 sets of each one, and I've got
It's basically like using Trainerizer app. You also track your weights.
Well, I mean, like
also
if you
walk
go
in there and
to
I
a
don't have to
gym-
think about
Yeah, and
anything.
if you go to a gym, like any CrossFit gym, they've got the workout for the day.
Yeah.
And like
Written on
it's
the
kind of
cardboard.
it's kind of just nice to be able to go there and see the workout. So I
Yeah.
can understand why you do that.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I enjoy all of this.
Everyone's got different ways of doing things, and
Yeah.
I respect that 100%. Sometimes I look at people and the things they do, especially when prepping in the fitness industry, and I don't agree because I wouldn't do it that way. But whatever works for them, that's chill, bro. People like I don't do any cardio for my shows, and other people don't agree with that. So that's one example. Some days I train half an hour, and they said you're training 3 hours a day, bro. That's mad.
No, so I was training. So my weight session is like an hour 30, and then my cardio is like 45 minutes. So in total, that's not 3 hours.
But
Yeah,
even
3
an
hours
hour and a
quite-
half
quite
of
long.
weights
But
is
then also,
long, bro.
but yeah, that's me. Like I honestly, sometimes one of my biggest problems is because of like I do get a bit like into it. Sometimes I overtrain a bit too much and I don't recover properly, or I stay in there too long, or I overdo the cardio, or like I don't, and I like my diet's not supporting that. Sometimes I do like silly things like that. But 3 hours a day is like stretching, warming up, because I've taken time off work to like focus on recovery and like my studies and stuff. I have a lot of time to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working. I've worked on one project, so I put a bit of money aside to give myself time to like.
What do you
focus.
do for a living?
I'm a second unit camera operator. I produce content, like take photos. So I do work in the film industry. I didn't quit it. I just put it away so I can sort my life out.
And
It's
now,
not because of bodybuilding.
and they used the voice modulator. They should have used the Batman voice, but whatever.
Did they use a voice modulator?
in the what was a voice? It wasn't your voice. It was your voice, but it was covered and muzzled.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
I
it
thought it-
sounded like that. Like
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Like it wasn't what we're hearing now.
Okay.
So was there anything that you watched where you're like, I didn't say that at all?
There were things I didn't remember saying, but I mean, it's my voice and it's me saying them. So
Yeah,
I'm
well,
like,
so no
"Damn."
one can remember what they say every single word for the entire day. And that's what they did. They recorded every single word that you said basically for an entire day.
From between 9 and 5, yeah. From 9 a.m. till 5 p.m.
And is there anything that happened that they put up on the video and the segment where they coerced you and like, well, I think it, like you said, they made you say look a bit more tired, or get up from bed and look tired. Like, is there something that they coerced you into doing to obviously paint the narrative that they were seeking?
Like you said, there was a lot of like heavy breathing and things were sped up, and like they waited for me to finish a set, because I was like, guys, I'm gonna do my session like normally and then I'll speak to you whenever, but like I'm gonna carry on like normal. And they would wait for me to finish a set and be out of breath and be dizzy and like my ears are ringing and whatever. And then they'll ask me a bunch of questions.
obviously you're training hard. There's a camera crew, so
Yeah.
you won't have your normal everyday session.
Yeah, you'll train harder and you'll probably work harder and then you'll be more out of breath.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, when there are people watching, you got a bit more energy. And yeah, I was buggered after a set, and then they're speaking to me while my ears are ringing, and I'm like, yeah, and it makes me sound unhealthy and out of breath, and it just doesn't sound good. Like,
Yeah, it's a trend, bro.
yeah, it's the
the
trend.
fuck?
It's the trend lungs,
And then
which I
there
have
was
never experienced.
they said that you don't get 7 hours of sleep in a night. That's obviously an issue that you might have regardless of bodybuilding or not.
I never get 7 hours of sleep.
Yeah, but that's because of work. We're not talking about that.
No. I wake up every hour. That's probably from the trend, but
I wake up to a lot, yeah, every like second hour, and then I have to like put a towel over my pillow and change my shirt.
Yeah, it's terrible. This industry it's toxic, bro.
Okay, so you would say maybe that was an adequate statement in terms of the sleep.
No. Okay, so personally, like I said, I think they showed me with my antipsychotics.
Yes.
That's an insomnia medication. And I explained that. I'm like, I take antipsychotics because I have insomnia, but I can't take sleeping pills because I'll get hooked on sleeping pills.
Did you get diagnosed those pills before you started bodybuilding and that? So it's not because of bodybuilding.
No, I got diagnosed with like all this crap, and then I decided, okay, because I actually have a calisthenics background. So 2015, 16, 17, I trained calisthenics and I wanted to compete in calisthenics. then I found bodybuilding to be a bit more rewarding. And then when I got diagnosed with all this crap, I went into that. So yeah, there's the sleep it's a personal thing, man. Like I can't sleep if I was taking tren or not, I can't sleep.
No,
So
it's definitely not
yeah.
trend by itself that causes sleeplessness or insomnia. It is a side effect, but
it's not that bad.
everyone doesn't suffer from it.
No, some people don't wake up. Some people don't like sweat and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the night sweats, it does happen, and that's a part of the game. If you
Happens
take
to me.
trend, it's probably going to happen if you use it for too long. But after the show aired, how did you feel seeing all those inboxes and because you suffer from a drug addiction background, were you contemplating on going back because you're emotional, stressed, or you're looking for a fix, something to make you feel better? Like, talk us through how you felt after seeing the show and seeing all the messages from the people. Obviously, me hating. And like before we spoke.
Yeah. So I didn't watch it because I had no interest in watching it. And I was kind of just chilling at home, and I saw a tag. Someone tagged me. This is the guy from Carte Blanche. So I was like, okay, that's not so bad. Then I saw inboxes saying, you ruined the South African fitness industry. People were saying horrible things. Like big influencers were saying horrible things. And then I was like, what happened? Like what?
Call those influencers out, bro. I'm joking, don't.
No, there's no need, man. Like,
Yeah, fuck them.
this was the worst.
Albert.
This was the worst, dude. Yo.
Yeah,
But-
I've got no chill on Instagram.
No, he's got no chill, dude. But I mean, like, yeah, I saw.
But when he found out the true story, obviously.
Yeah, he helped me out a lot. He helped me through. Dude, I was panicking, bro. This guy helped me
You
a lot.
messaged me daily. I was like, bro,
I was like, I don't know
calm
what
down.
to do.
Send me voice notes, freaking out, bro. I was like, listen, calm down. I told you I'll help you.
Yeah.
We'll sort this out. We'll get your story out there. Just calm down. No one's going to do anything. He's like, people are threatening me. I'm like, bro, you
Yeah,
just
dude.
phoned me.
Legit, did you get threatened?
I got a few death threats, like in Facebook. I deleted them. I don't want to even talk about it. But like even in Instagram, I got a few death threats, dude. Not from any big people or people like anyone you would like know. I don't think, but just random people. Like I think random coaches. And I was like, damn, dude, this was hectic. But what for me, the part that upset me a lot was loved ones, a lot of loved ones, and a lot of people were begging me not to take my life over this. And I was like, okay, now it's gone too far. The fact that that's what's going through people's minds, like people think I would actually take my life over like a social media shockwave or something like this. That's when it went too far. And I mean, I watched the docu and I looked at it and I was like, this is bad. This looks really, really bad. And for all the people that were kind of bullying me or whatever, I understood where they were coming from. Like, I'm not really upset with anyone for like what they said to me, because if I was a professional athlete and I saw a random person giving information about PEDs and a sport with no actual real context, I would get really upset. And like, I would take some of those like comments about being pathological and addicted and this and that. I would have taken that personally, and I would have gotten really upset from that. So I can see where everyone was coming from, and like the hate it's not misplaced, but I think it's because of coming from a place of not understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, no one had the full story, and no one actually cared about your side of the story.
No, because like, it's a pile-on thing. Like, it's a pile-on thing. It's
They
fine. to
put you in such a
pile on.
bad light. Like, everyone was just hating Liam, bro. Fuck
Yeah.
Liam.
Even still,
he's
like-
such a puss. And
Still, bro.
yeah, so
So if you could talk to Carte Blanche, you'd be like, what would you say to them?
what the fuck, Oaks?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yes, sis.
What the fuck? I don't know. I have no words, bro. I have no words.
Because
Like,
if they can construe and build this narrative and paint such a bad picture on you
yeah,
and an industry and a completely false narrative and get away with it, like what do you say to that?
I don't know, but I've been watching this show for like 20 years. So
Yeah, we've
since
all been watching
Yeah.
it since we were lighties.
2001, this is the last time the earliest memory I have of Carte Blanche. And I mean, they've been doing this for a long time and they're really good at it. So I have no idea what they've done in those 20 years that I've been watching Carte Blanche. Like, And I have no words, man. Like the way they made the bodybuilding industry look was terrible, and it just makes the stigmas more prominent.
I'd never watch Carte Blanche again and
No, yeah, me too.
believe the
Fuck.
full story they air on there. I'd always question it now. For the rest of my life, you know you're watching something, but you're probably doubting it.
Yeah, I also thought Carte Blanche was pretty cool until like now.
Yeah,
Until I encountered
definitely.
them.
Well, I think for anyone that is watching this and likes Carte Blanche and believes the stories to be true,
Don't.
you know, you need to take what they say with a pinch of salt. And
Yeah.
it's the same as the news that's put on the media. In today's age, you cannot trust actually someone's word that has some hidden agenda and has some hidden, you know, financial backing from big corporates who control the story and the narrative that's put out there.
in the media, yeah. So you got to ask yourself questions. And since I've gone off Facebook, and since I've been off Facebook and all the negativity, it's always people share negative stuff, and then it's abuse and animal abuse.
Facebook is literally just negativity.
Exactly. And since I've been off there, I don't even know half the stuff that's happening in the news. because
And you're better off for it.
so much. Like, if it's a big story, I'd probably hear it from a family member or a friend or something. But other than that, I don't hear anything. I heard about this Carte Blanche story, and luckily I've got DSTV, which I never even watch. And I switched it on. I was waiting for the story, and after it aired, I was like, "This is absolute trash."
Yeah.
I even commented on the little preview that they posted on their page. I was like, it's absurd. Why could you guys not get a proper influencer to do a story with? Because this is false information, and you can't do that. It's
Which
not
I
right.
recommended so many times. I was like, you guys need to find someone who's more established. This is
But
not going to
also,
work.
I don't think it's your fault, and I don't think it's you being less and unestablished in the industry.
Yeah.
I believe it's them construing the story of a picture that they wanted to, you know, portray to get more views. They would have done the same thing if they had gone to the most established person in the industry in South Africa. They might just not have got away with it as much.
But imagine they did this with
Yaku, imagine they did this with Yaku.
how. Yeah,
How it would have gone
it would
differently.
have put him in such a bad light if they only used all the negative things he said throughout that day and only aired that. Everyone
think
would have hated him.
That's why I think they used Julian, because they needed someone that was, you know, it wasn't gonna fire back to them too
You're not
much.
established yet. You
No.
don't, like you said,
Still
you
a
don't
novice,
have a
bro.
name.
No, not yet, dude.
But they
You're
didn't
still getting
expect
there.
they didn't
Yeah.
expect the best podcast in the world to come for them.
Yeah, of course not. And we organized it. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are. So Carte Blanche,
I
you
don't
better
think
watch
they-
your back.
Derek, come sit, but
Yeah, no, it was, I think the fundamental fuck up was sticking a needle in my ass in front of a camera crew. Like, I think that's
I actually thought that was pretty cool.
okay.
You got guts, bro.
Well, I mean, like,
I'm gonna pin when I get home. Straight up.
these guys knew, like, I'm willing to talk about anything, and they took advantage of that as well. Like, I'm very open. man.
Apparently, earlier that week, you guys got sent what's gonna be aired.
Yeah.
So after all the editing's been done, did you actually go and watch the links that they sent you? I sent you the same links,
Yeah.
so you could have downloaded the whole show.
The thing, yeah.
So and given them your comments before they aired it. Did you actually watch it and give them some feedback?
No, what I watched was like snippets of, and it wasn't a link that I downloaded off of like a WeTransfer.
It was a Dropbox link, if I'm not mistaken. I've got the link, guys. We'll post it in our stories, and maybe we'll put it in the bio of the video.
Sure, we'll do that.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the show that's been aired on Carte Blanche, go download it, watch it before you watch the podcast. Otherwise, you're not going to know what the fuck's happening.
Yeah.
And Liam's not such a bad oak. You need to use some proper gear though.
Yeah,
But
like
we'll
I
help
said.
you out. We'll chat
I
now.
think after this, Albert can sort you out. Help you out
I'll
to
give you
get
some
the
advice.
right
Get your
juice.
coach, bring him. I'll give him some advice too.
Yeah.
No, I'm just toying with you. But yeah, thank you very much for giving us your story and the rundown.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man.
You're actually not the bad guy that
Yeah,
Carte Blanche made you out to
I
be.
think that's the biggest problem is, firstly, obviously, Carte Blanche is so terrible for doing what they did, but it was to your detriment.
Yeah, incredibly so. Like, I'm not the douchebag that I seemed like in that docu.
Well, fortunately, people can see that now. So,
Yeah.
and the fitness industry got each other's back, and they do support this podcast. And I think, we're going to get a lot of support because of the negative drama that the episode caused, and now people can watch this and get the true story from you.
In actual fact, let's do something fun. So Jesse and I will actually go through a day of a bodybuilder.
Okay.
So the life of a normal amateur bodybuilder.
That's not going through the worst shit of his entire life. That would be
Probably going through the worst shit of his life, but it's fine. We're not going to speak about that, and we'll actually give you the actual story and what it's like going through a normal day, eating your meals, taking your PEDs.
I think
what
the
you
biggest
do.
thing is, right, let's just take today, for example, right? You could only train for 30 minutes because you had to work and because you had to come and record this. So
Yes.
that just shows that you prioritized other things opposed to a training to live your life.
100%.
You prioritized other things.
You have to. You can't drop everything for training, okay, which I am actually supposed to prioritize a bit more, but I couldn't, not today and yesterday and the day before. Life happens, other things happen, and you have to work around it. I still go to gym. I get in my session. It might not be a full proper session like I'm supposed to do, but I try my best, bro. That's all you can do. You have to make it work.
Yeah. So on an average day, what do you get up to?
I wake up, I have my meals, I work, and I work, and I work.
You play some games.
It's
If
not
you-
every
if you
day,
get-
not even
if-
every day, not even every day. I would love to. Everyone thinks Albert sits at home and plays games all day, which is fine. You can think that. I've got an amazing setup, and I do love gaming because it's actually, that's my escape. That's my getting away from reality, is playing a game, and I'm in another world, bro.
Yeah.
Keeps me out of trouble, and it's something I enjoy doing, and it's competitive because I am a very competitive individual. And then I go train in the evening, go home, eat my meal, and go to sleep. It's a boring lifestyle, bro.
Very,
And
very similar. Yeah.
you have to have balance. On weekends, I love seeing my mates and doing things, going out, going on a breakfast run,
Not a physical run, guys, in a vehicle.
Not at all. Not at all. I don't do cardio.
Yeah.
If it's further than 50 meters, I'd probably not walk. I'm lazy.
Well, guys, I think we have cleared the air and we have painted, and shed some light on a story that was completely falsified. So, bro, thank you, Liam. We appreciate you coming through here. You
No
did drive
problem,
a far away. You did. But I think it's going to help you and it's going to, get a lot of people off your back.
Yeah.
And hopefully people can see that you're not the bad guy that Carte Blanche painted you to be.
Yeah, and it's just I want to take accountability for making the mistake of speaking to journalists. Like,
It was no mistake whatsoever. You were painted a picture
Yeah.
that they're going to air your story.
yeah, which I
And
don't mind.
You never put the fitness industry as such in a bad light. You gave them your story and they twisted it. So that's their wrongdoing from their side.
All the blame is on them, bro, not you.
Yeah,
You don't have
I
to
guess.
feel bad about anything. And now after telling everyone your story, hopefully people would understand. And like you said, the fitness industry, we're supposed to support each other. There's a lot of people who don't like me, who won't support me, but
I like you, bro. I think you got
Thank
nice
you.
arms and nice calves.
thank you. Thanks. You're not too bad either.
Thank you, sir.
So this is about the fitness industry and the bodybuilding industry, shedding some light of the actual story, what was said and how it was twisted. So nothing bad happened. Everyone can forgive Liam now. Go follow him. Tag him in your stories.
Let's get Liam to 10K followers by the end of this
Let's
podcast.
do it.
Yeah, I didn't expect anything to go like this, but like, thank you guys for having me here and like letting me actually explain what happened. And it's nice that there's some truth.
People who actually care.
Yeah, people do, and it's
Carte
cool.
Blanche, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't care.
I wonder if she feels bad, like the.
No, not at all.
I keep like, does she
Send
know
her,
what
send
she?
her the link to this video.
They'll probably all see it. Yeah.
hope
I
so,
don't even
bro.
think they take the time to
I know.
watch it.
I've seen Derek at Bryanston Virgin Active. I'll go and give him a hard copy of this
They
podcast.
blocked
We should
all
go
my-
with a camera and go interview Derek. Derek.
Out of breath. He has to be out of
Yeah,
breath.
yeah.
They blocked all the stuff I tagged him in all the videos
Hectic.
and like all the stories where I was making fun of Derek and shit. Like they blocked it. They were like, "We don't want to hear from this guy. He's finished now."
Yeah, but it's actually not Derek, bro.
No,
Derek,
he's just
He's
that's
just
his
the
job.
face, bro.
Yeah,
He's
that's
just the
his
face.
He's
job.
just
Like Ruda
executing the
Landman,
script.
They're going to people holding the mic. They're asking them scripted questions. That's their job. Derek doesn't do the editing. He doesn't decide what goes into the
But
show.
Derek's the journalist, bro. We don't know that he is the one that's cultivating this and saying, okay, well, guys, we're going to paint him out to look bad.
Listen,
like this,
Jesse, I
this.
like Derek.
Okay,
He's
okay.
been in my life for years now.
He's your nice father figure for you.
So, Carte Blanche on the other hand, no. Yeah, but leave Derek alone. He's cool.
Okay. We'll go train some arms with him.
He wasn't the worst guy. Yeah.
Was he a nice guy? How was it meeting Derek?
I don't know. The way he speaks is very strange. Like he structures his sentences very weirdly, and like it's kind of like
Does
speaking.
he make you feel nervous?
Yeah, dude. It makes me feel like I did some CC fraud shit. I was like, guys, like, fuck. I'm sitting in my house and I'm like, I feel like I did something very fucking bad. Like,
Did you clean up your house?
a lot, dude. A lot. Yeah, dude. It was weird. I felt like I stole some money from some company or some shit, and they found me, and I'm like sitting there talking about it. It wasn't cool, man.
Yeah. I love those interviews where they just rush into a place and they catch them off guard.
Well,
They caught me at the gym.
Got
Yeah, have
you
you been
jabbing.
selling this illegal products? Wah, 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 wah. And they're like,
That's how they filmed you jabbing. They quickly burst into your house and
yeah,
then
like
saw
they
a needle in your bum.
caught you. Yeah, you've been caught now. Meanwhile, they asked you, listen, what day are you taking your PED? Like, what day is your jab? And you're like, it's today. Let me show you guys.
Yeah, we'll make sure to film that.
Yeah.
And the camera angle was so bad, people messaged me, where the fuck's this guy injecting?
So if people thought I was pinning in my lower back.
Yeah, is
I
that
thought
in his
that,
hip?
bro. I
What the
genuinely
fuck's he
thought
doing?
that.
No, it's my ass cheek. Maybe my ass looks weird, bro. Maybe it's just
Your
like,
ass looks like a hip.
yeah, maybe my ass looks like a back, bro. And I
We'll
should
do a
probably
new
work on it.
video of all three of us injecting.
And where the needle should go.
Yeah, where it's supposed to go.
We can teach Carte Blanche how to do it properly.
Where to take your illegal drugs.
I genuinely, when I watched it, I was like, this guy is doing it in his like kidney. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I pinned it into like the middle section of my
filtering,
right
dude.
butt cheek, dude.
Put it straight in there.
Less
Get it straight
toxic.
into the bloodstream. That's it. We go. You're actually supposed to pin into a vein. Get it straight in
And
there.
cough your lungs out.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. This has been dope. And I definitely think people are going to enjoy this.
I think
this
it'll
was
be
a good
cool.
one.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yes.
Liam. Thanks,
Thank you very
Jesse.
much, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you, Albert. Thank you,
for putting
Jesse.
this together.
It's a pleasure. Always trying to do the right thing, you know?
But I know you, bro. I know you.
Yeah.
You're a sweetheart.
Yeah, thank
I've
you
got
for
a good
setting
heart.
thank you for setting this thing straight. Like from the get go, you got hold of me and
When I phoned
Thank
him,
you,
I was
bro.
like, listen,
He
don't
was
speak
pissed.
to anyone. Yeah. At first, I was giving him a go. I was like, yes, but if I get you now, I'm going to break your neck.
yeah, I was like I'm just gonna tell everyone the truth now. There's no point of like
So I said, listen, just wait.
yeah.
We'll air the true story. Let's create a hype a bit.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
likes hype, hey.
People love drama. So
guy likes
that's
it,
exactly
bro.
what we'll do. And then we'll give them a real story.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching.
Yeah.
And have a great one, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cruising down the boulevard, kissing in the backseat of the car.